Well, this is going to be cool if this works. We'll see. If you're just joining, for once, we're going to try letting other people join me on the video rather than just people typing their comments and thoughts and questions and whatnot. So, if you'll use the link that's on my Facebook page, the Google Meet link, if you'll use that, you'll see when you click on that link, it'll ask you if you want to join now. You click join now, and I'll get an invitation here, and I'll say, yes, you join. And then we're all on here. It's kind of like Zoom or Microsoft Teams and some of the other things, but it's Google's version. So we'll try it that way. Meanwhile, we're also streaming live on Facebook, and you can write your questions there. But if you're on Facebook and you're watching me right now, if you look the post directly below this live video, it should be the post at the top of the page, has a Google Meet link. If you want to talk live with me, literally on video with me and share the screen, then click on that link and send me it'll say join now, and you join now, and I'll get that link. So hi to everybody who's watching so far, who's joining us. It's Friday Night Live on Facebook, and I am awaiting to see if anybody wants to pop on to Google Meet with me, and it's like a town hall. Otherwise, I'll answer your questions on Facebook Live, but I'm kind of jumping back and forth between the two things so that I can see if somebody wants to join or if somebody's typing a question on Facebook. So again, I wanted to try something new tonight. Ross Day, you're kind of a technical wizard, I'm sure. You could probably figure it out. Click on my Google Meet link that's on the page. So right below this Facebook Live video, there should be a link. It says, hey, I'm going to be live tonight at 6 o'clock. Click on this link if you want to join me. Because if this doesn't work, then I won't try it again. I just want to try it for one time and see what happens. I don't think you have to have a Gmail account. I'm not sure. I don't think you do. I've used Google Meet for my Sunday school class at my church. I've used it for some work-associated things, and it seems to work pretty well. But I asked a guy, a tech guy, I said, how could I do something live on Facebook where people can join me on camera and talk to me without having to type on the comments page? I mean, it's always just me talking and you over there typing comments. I'd like to do something a little more interactive. And he showed me how to do what I'm doing right now. So there's the thing. So if you're watching me right now, if you go to my page, go below this live video, there's a link that says Google Meet. And I provided it in a post. Click on that, and then when you get there, it'll say join meeting. Click join meeting, and I'll get an invitation that you want to come and join me. Okay, so somebody do that so I know it's working. I'm trying everything that I possibly can to try to be live with people as many ways as we possibly can. So we'll see. Hello to everybody who's jumped on Facebook. Again, if you're watching on Facebook, I'm going to give it a couple more minutes to let people try to figure it out. But in fact, if I put it in the link, maybe if I do that, let me see if I can find the link. I'm going to put it in the comments. Okay, I'm going to put it in the comments right there. Michelle Ball. I can't find what you're talking about. Right there, right below Michelle's comment, I put the link. Click on that link. It should take you to Google Meet. And when you get there, you should see a button that says join meeting or join now, something like that. And what it does is it sends me an invitation. Ah, there we go. Kara is joining us. And you don't have to be on video. You can be audio only. Now we got some people jumping on. All right, cool. Now, unmute yourself when you're on Google Meet when you want to talk and just pop in.
Hey there, Bill. Can you hear me now?
Hey, Kara, how are you?
Hey, I'm okay. It's good to hear from you again.
Well,
I look forward to Sundays with you.
well, thank you. So, any thoughts, questions, comments?
Hey, well, actually, I'd like to throw something out, but I don't want to steal anybody's thunder or anything thunder from what you're going to talk about. But we did something new.
No, go right ahead.
So we have opened up and have it officially filed with the Secretary of State, Oregon Accountability PAC. And so I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. We have a website. It's oapac2020.com.
Okay, say that again good and slow so that everybody can hear it.
OA for Oregon Accountability, and then PAC, P-A-C, 2020.com.
oapac2020.com.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thanks for sharing that with us tonight.
Yeah, I'll put that in the comments later, but we're pretty excited.
Very good. That is awesome. That's citizens getting in action. All right. Well, and Kara, feel free to pipe in again. I see Ross Day is on camera and microphone on. Ross, what are you up to?
Just enjoying the day with my family.
Nice.
Well, just so people know, Ross Day is running for Kaiser City Councilor, and I really appreciate that he's willing to jump into that race.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I'm going to have a meetup tomorrow at the Human Bean on River Road from 9 to 11. I hope as many people can show up as possible.
Why don't you again, just so that I make sure people can hear, and so say again exactly what you're doing.
We're going to have just a meet and greet from 9 to 11 tomorrow at the Human Bean out on River Road. Just an opportunity to come by. If you need a lawn sign, come pick up a lawn sign. Ask me, questions about, whatever's going on with the city, issues or anything like that, or just a chance to have a cup of coffee and a good friendly conversation.
Okay. Tomorrow, 9 to 11.
9 to 11.
The Human Bean on River Road in Kaiser.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Ross. I see that somebody with the name JB77 is on. Did you have a comment or a question? You'll have to unmute your microphone.
I have no comments or questions. I'm just here to observe and listen, see what's going on.
That's great. Hanging out. I like it. Okay. Thanks for being with us. I see that there's a lot of comments on the Facebook page. Excuse me. I did put the link for Google Meet. Those of you on the Google Meet, was it hard? Did it work?
It didn't work for me at first. I had to actually enter the code manually.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I had no problem. I was able to just click on it and go.
Okay. Well, good. I like trying things new, and the thing that I've been struggling with is every Friday night I do the live video, and people can only type their comments, and I wanted people to actually be able to talk to me face to face if they wanted to. Karen says, "Hi from West Lynn. Good luck, Ross."
Cool.
And let's see who else. Ken Outfleet.
Good news.
What's that, Kara?
Oh, I was going to say, yes, it started off with a little bit of a bang with some good news. It's nice.
Okay, what did I miss? What happened?
No, with Ross Day and the City Council announcement and us and the PAC announcement.
Oh.
That was just kind of a cool beginning.
There you go. All right, so if anybody has questions or comments, you can do the live video with the Google Meet. if you'd like, or you, excuse me, you can ask as always just by typing on Facebook Live. I see Tricia has joined us. Hi, Tricia. Hi, Tricia. How are you? Well, maybe she can't hear me. Okay. Let's see what other questions we have. I don't know, Ross. Do you have a question for me?
I just want to know who's going to win the World Series this year.
Hang on, let me mute this. I'm gonna mute you for a second there, Tricia. Ross, the Los Angeles Dodgers are going to win the World Series. I want everybody to know that Ross Day is a San Francisco Giants fan. We have battled over this for many, many years. And he actually called me today and said, I'm rooting for the Dodgers. That's how much I hate the Houston Astros.
Yes, that is very true. I cannot stand the Astros. And I hate the Dodgers.
I know you do.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the extra juju.
I just hope I don't jinx them.
Okay, hang on. Let me just here. This will help do that'll anti-jinx. Okay, so Tricia, are you? Hang on, let me unmute you. This is such a weird screen. Okay, Tricia.
I think I got it.
There you are. How are you?
Good. I was able to figure it out pretty easily. I just have a house full of girls and a lot of background noise.
That's all right. So, Tricia, do you have any questions or comments?
Well, just wanted to see if I could figure this out. So if I did it in the future, I could ask you.
Okay. Let me go to a question that's on Facebook. Bill, how do you feel about the mail-in voting in Oregon? I've said this probably every Friday night. I'll say something similar, and that is, look, I'm old guy. Get off my lawn. Old guy remembers when we used to be able to go to the booth and you showed your ID. The nice little little old lady was there, and she wrote your name down, and you signed it. And then you walked. She gave you a ballot, and you walked over to the curtain, and you pulled the curtain, and you punched the thing, and you turned in your ballot, and boom, that was it. Of course, I would love to have that again, but that horse has left the barn a long time ago, and it's never coming back to Oregon. So that's how I feel about mail-in voting. But I feel that mail-in voting in Oregon is being done very well. I think our 36 county clerks do a fantastic job of getting it done. Our Secretary of State office does a great job of getting it done. Is there a potential for issues? Of course there is. But think about this. Back when the nice little old lady took my ballot from me, how do I know what she did with it? So, I mean, there's always going to be something going on when it comes to counting ballots. So I don't have a big problem. I think what people are getting hung up on is because President Trump talks about mail-in balloting being potentially some problems, he's talking from a national level because there are some states that have never done mail-in balloting before, and they've learned how to do it in the last 3 weeks. And now those I don't know about. In fact, I do know there are some states that are even doing it where you don't have to sign it. So you could find a ballot down on the street and fill it out and turn it in. That's what we're concerned about. But in Oregon, that's not how it works. You sign it. So make sure that you register to vote if you haven't by the 13th. That is next Tuesday. If you haven't registered, do it by next Tuesday. I have a couple other people are joining me here real quick. Let me admit them. By next Tuesday, get registered to vote if you haven't already. And then your ballot should start coming by Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday of next week. Most of you probably got your voter pamphlet statement this week. If you haven't received it by tomorrow, call your county clerk. If you haven't received your ballot by the 25th, make sure you call your county clerk. Okay, Brian says, my two favorite teams, the OSU Beavers and whoever is cleaning the ducks. That will make Ross Day very happy, I know.
I'm a Duck fan. I'll throw it out there.
Go Ducks. Okay, Nicole is on with us. Hi, Nicole. Do you have anything you want to throw in today?
No, I was just listening.
Oh, okay. Well, you sure? Because I know you're full of vim and vigor.
What?
You're full of vim and vigor. I don't. It's an old guy saying.
That's funny.
Okay, so here's a question that we could all answer. Karen asks, how is everyone feeling about the elections in Oregon? Lots of great people running for various offices. How does everybody feel? What do you think's going on? Nicole, you can answer that. How do you feel? What do you think's going on?
I have no idea. I wish I had a crystal ball.
What do you have a gut feeling about Oregon? What's going to happen in Oregon?
I think that if this year things don't change, then it never will.
Yeah, this is our
So
Alamo.
many crazy things happened this year that I think that it's just motivated a lot of people. And I don't think people are going to stop though. So even though I'm saying if things don't happen this year, it won't. I think that a lot of people are seeing writing on the wall. You know, Democrats have been more involved for a lot of reasons for longer, and I think people that have been asleep for a while are okay. We got to stay in this for the long haul.
I think that's a good assessment. Kara, while you're on, what's your feeling about how Oregon's elections are going?
Oh, you know what? It's going to be an interesting moment. It's so close on some of the seats that us on the PAC side, we're like gritting our teeth. Some of the things that we want to do, we're kind of holding back until after elections to see what the results are. That's how close it is in our world. But I agree. There is so much going on that has gone on that I am hoping, I am praying that our voters have woken up enough to make sure to actually check their registration and to vote. You know, I mean, I spent many years not realizing just how imperative it is to vote, and now I'm just like a huge advocate. It's like you don't realize what you're doing by not voting. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Kara, if you would mute your mic right after, just because I'm getting some background noise. Ross, you're a candidate, so not just your own race, but where do you feel? And Ross has been involved in campaigns for a long time in Oregon. What's your gut tell you?
Well, my gut tells me that this is going to be a turnout election, that motivated voters are the ones who are going to decide the race. You know, you look at the Portland mayoral race, and, you know, I don't like either one of the candidates, but Wheeler is by far and away the better candidate, and he's probably going to lose because because his opponents, voters are far more motivated to get to the polls and vote, and I think that's true around the state. And I think that conservatives, or certainly those who are not supportive of Governor Brown and her crazy policies, are far more motivated to get out and vote than, say, than so-called liberals or progressives. So I think this is going to be a turnout election, a motivated voter election, and I think that. So I think that you guys are going to probably pick up a couple seats in the House. You might pick up one in the Senate. So I think it'll be locally. I like to think that myself and Kyle Duran and Laura Reed will win our campaigns, and Danielle Bethel will win her race for for Marion County Commission. The one that I'm interested in is House District 22. Anna, I don't remember I can't say her last name.
Kosachev. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's going to be a really interesting race because they're focused on getting Russians registered to vote And if she's able to do that, they'll certainly be motivated to support her. I think that'll be a really interesting race as well.
I think those are great observations. Real quick, I want to read a question that has nothing to do with this, but Ryan asked the question, Bill, I tried donating to your campaign last weekend. I didn't, though, because I saw I had to disclose the name and address of my employer. Why does your website donor form ask for such specifics when federal candidates don't? Ryan, it's a great question that people would ask a lot probably if they were to think about it. The Secretary of State of Oregon, our Oregon statutes, and I believe our Constitution requires that we disclose who our donors are. It's part of our open book system, and I'm a big fan of it, though I am not thrilled about you or me having to disclose what my address is or what my employer is or whatever. But if you give more than $100 to a state or city or county, anything that's in ORSTAR, which is the Secretary of State's financial page, if you give $100 or more, that has to be recorded. If you give less, then that does not have to be recorded. I'm not sure. And Ross, correct me if I'm wrong on that. Is it?
It's more than 100.
Okay.
So if they give 100, and if an individual gives more than 100, so you and your wife could give 200, and it would be split up between the husband and wife, and it wouldn't be reported.
Okay.
Or it would be reported, but as miscellaneous contribution of $100 or less.
And to the specifics of Ryan of having to put your employer, yes, the Secretary of State's office and our election rules require that your employer's name and address be included. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is what it is. It's part of our transparency that we don't have enough of in state government in Oregon, near enough. So I thought that was a good question. Let's see. Any other questions? So let me go. Karen Kellogg says, Kelly Sloop and Amy Ryan Courser. Absolutely. Kelly Sloop in House District 37 and Amy Ryan Courser in CD5, Congressional District 5, to take out Kurt Schrader. Send him packing after 8 terms, I think it's been now. Something like that. It's too much. Priscilla asks a question. Statewide candidates or send statewide personal videos greeting members in both of the groups. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Priscilla, you'll have to fill me in later. I'm not sure what that's about.
Can I add a comment about Kurt Schrader?
Yes.
Yes, I totally 100% agree. Kurt Schrader has to go. When he sent his campaign manager up to a canyon to do a documentary to get people to go on the air, or on his camera, I should say, and then turn around and say it's for a campaign commercial, I think that's shiesty, scheming, and just completely wrong. And if that's how you're going to be in just a basic moment, that should say everything that you need to know about how it would be in government.
Yeah, I heard that happened here a week or two ago. Amy Ryan Courser was doing some kind of an event, and this young man showed up and started shooting video, and it turns out it was to do a commercial for Kurt Schrader. Yeah, I've witnessed that before, and I know Ross has seen that kind of stuff before. You know, Ross, when would you say was the first campaign you ever worked on in Oregon? In what year? And who?
The first one I ever worked on was 1994, and it was actually for a Democrat running for Congress, because at the time Mike Kopetsky was the 5th Congressional District. He's a Democrat, and he wasn't running again. And so I worked for a Democrat named John Ball, and I went to a meeting of a bunch of Democrats for the primary, and everyone they were talking frankly crazy, and everyone's nodding their heads, yes, yes, yes. And afterwards I asked some of my friends, I said, look, I didn't believe anything that they had to say. I mean, I thought a lot of what they were saying was crazy. And my friend said, well, maybe you're a Republican and not a Democrat. And I said, oh, okay. So I went to a Republican. This was when I was at Oregon State. to a Republican Central Committee meeting, and I thought, wow, I'm amongst my people. And so I worked briefly for Jim Bunn's campaign, very briefly, and then I moved back east, and I ended up working for the congressman. So I've been working on those campaigns around here for 20-something years, 26 years.
Okay, I might have you beat by this much. I was the Oregon college director for the Reagan campaign in 84,
Oh, wow.
1984. 1980, I was just, that was my first election for president I got to vote for. I got to vote for Ronald Reagan, but in 84, I got to work for his campaign.
Yeah, that was my first campaign, and I just remember afterwards, it was because the Democrat was talking about how the Democrats were talking about how people in jail really wasn't their fault that they were in jail. It was society's fault. It was our fault for neglecting them and all this other stuff. And people were nodding their head in agreement, and I kept thinking, no, it's not my fault that somebody robbed a liquor store. And so my first campaign was going door to door for a Democrat. I quickly found out I was not a Democrat, and it's been true love ever since, as they say.
Anybody on Facebook or on Google Meet, you have any comments about this current election or past elections? Nicole, looks like you want to say something.
Oh, oops, sorry. No, my phone died. I guess it unmuted. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, Priscilla is clearing up what she was trying to say. She said, need candidates to volunteer to do videos with me for our Facebook pages, Restore the Balance, and Salem Conservative Sister. This is a way of reaching out to Oregon candidates running for office. Absolutely. Make sure you're emailing or Facebook messaging Priscilla, all of the candidates around Oregon. I'm sure they would love to do that. I do this every Friday night on my own page. Last night was a very busy night for me on video. At 6 o'clock, the Oregon Republican Party has a Facebook page, and they do something called Captive Audience. And every Thursday night, I interview one of our House Republican candidates. And so I had the privilege of interviewing Katie Bosshart Glasser last night. And then right after that, at 7 o'clock, I was on the Washington County GOP page, and I was being interviewed as a candidate, because here's the fascinating thing for those of you that live in House District 25. We think of it as 3/5 Marion County, 2/5 maybe Yamhill County. But Washington County is in my district. It's a street about that long. It has a grand total of 17 people, men, women, child, and 7 of them are registered to vote, and 3 of them actually vote, and they don't vote for me. But that's my share of Washington County in my district, and so the Washington County Republicans had me on last night. So Priscilla, exactly, doing these live videos is just, especially in this COVID situation, this is the best way to go. Okay, any other questions on Facebook or on Google? I'm here for you. Is Marion Marion from St. Paul, are you on? Because Marion gets so upset if I don't do Friday Night Live. Marion is a sweet lady who lives in St. Paul, and I won't say where because I don't want Antifa to show up in St. Paul. But she is a sweet little old lady. I shouldn't say little old lady, but she's older than me. I know that much, and I'm old. So she sends me emails and Facebook messages. You weren't on Friday night. What's the matter with you? So Marion, you darn well better be on tonight. And if you're not, it better be because you're not feeling well. And if you're not feeling well, I hope you feel better soon. That was weird. Okay, let's see. Any other questions? Because I'm gonna go short tonight if we don't have a lot of questions or comments.
I'm gonna go look up what vinegar means.
I think I said it wrong. I think it's a P word in vinegar, but I can't say it because.
Oh no, that's even worse.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's a really good thing. But Look, President Trump threw the F-bomb today. Does everybody know about that?
No?
No.
Oh my gosh, no, that's awesomely funny, though.
Well, it's
Oh yes, I did hear about that.
it is. Here's the thing. So after the last debate, I wrote a column that got in the Kaiser Times and on my Facebook page how the common use of the F-bomb, we don't even call it the F-bomb anymore. We just say it. We just say the F word all the time. And that's part of the problem with America. And so I'm ranting about that. And what happens? President Trump today on Rush Limbaugh live on national radio said F Iraq or something like that. Or they better not F and mess with us. And here's the thing. When you're doing a big national talk show, because those of you who don't know, I did a talk show for years. If you're doing a national talk show, or even a big one, statewide, like Lars Larson has a statewide show, you have what's called a 7-second delay. So the broadcast that you're listening to is actually 7 seconds old. It's run through a processing unit that does that. So that if somebody throws off an F-bomb or something, it doesn't go over the air because it is against the law. It's against the FCC rules. So I never had a 7-second delay when I was on the radio because I worked for stations that had no money and it's a very expensive piece of equipment. And so I had my finger on the button all the time because if some guy like Ross Day started ranting and I thought, oh, he's going there, I could push the button and turn him off. But apparently the president got one off today.
That's funny.
But it,
So, hey,
yeah.
I have a question for anybody who can answer. Hey, so is anybody else aware of the DEQ meetings going on over the cap and trade right now?
Just that I've heard about them, yes.
I was just curious if anybody else had actually attended any of them. I know that I did last night and I did last week, and they have one more little town hall meeting, but they're trying to implement the cap and trade. Just kind of an FYI.
Yeah, they are. They're following the orders of the executive order that Governor Brown gave back in June, I think it was, that created a new department basically for cap and trade, which is why we have heard from legislative leadership that there will not be a cap and trade bill in 2021 because they don't need one, frankly, now because they have.
I'm okay with that.
Well, they have what they want, and they can now expand upon it. Jim Taylor is on
Guess we'll see
Facebook.
yeah.
Jim Taylor is on Facebook, and Ross, he has a message for you. He says, good luck to Ross in his election bid for city council. I know how much work he has in store. And Jim Taylor was a former Kaiser City councilor, or is a former Kaiser City councilor.
And a well-respected one at that.
He is. Jim Taylor is, if you want to take the title of Mr. Kaiser, he's one of them at least.
Yes.
Okay, any further questions? I guess Karen is leaving. Good night, Karen. Catch you next week.
Hey, Phil?
Yes.
I was going to tell you, remember a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, you had posted about that administrative rule that the Oregon Health Licensing Office was going to adopt regulating hair salons like Lindsey Graham's hair salon, and how they admitted that they didn't even bother to talk to the businesses that were affected. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Well, you'll be happy to hear that they have rescinded the rule and they have reopened the comment period, and they have specifically gone out to talk to hair salons to find out how they're going to be affected by that crazy rule.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great news.
So good job.
You know, Ross, so
Yeah.
actually I brought your name up in our pack chat this morning in regards to the whole Lindsey Graham debacle. So it was just kind of weird to see you come on tonight and you mentioned Lindsey Graham. So actually my boss and his wife are very good friends of hers, and of course her salon does my hair.
Oh, yeah. So they've rescinded the rule, and they've reopened the comment period until November 19th.
Nice.
Excellent.
So,
Good news. Okay.
yeah.
Let's see. Stephen says, I avoid the word, but yes, F-bomb Iran. Okay. I guess that's what he said. And that's a worthy discussion to have. But there's something. There was one point that I wanted to talk about tonight for sure. Whether people joined me or not, I was going to talk about it anyway. I did post a little bit about it today in a written form. I want to talk about what I think. If I were to go to Vegas and put money on this, I think I would win pretty good, and that is the 2021 session. So let me give you a little bit of history. And Ross, you are not only an attorney, but you've been around a while with politics. You stop me if I'm wrong. The Oregon Constitution, when it comes to legislative session, so let's talk about the long session that's in the odd numbered years. So 2021 coming up. The Constitution just says it shall be 160 days. The Constitution doesn't say it starts on pick a date. That is done in statute and by tradition. So by tradition and a statute from way back in 1901, I believe it was, when I was researching this, it started on right around February 1st, approximately, the first Monday in February. In 2018, the Oregon legislature, and I was there, I voted no, the Oregon legislature passed a bill that statutorily made the start of the long session to be the first Tuesday after Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And then 160 days is what the Constitution kicks in. Now, because of COVID and the absolute sheer terror that most of the Democrats in leadership have in the Oregon House and Senate, they want to put this off as far as they possibly can, but they still want that whole 160 days. So how do they do that? I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen. You may have heard that Governor Brown has talked about a third special session being right after the election in November. That's what I see happening. You only need a simple majority and a bill to pass changing that start of the legislative session. So imagine, if you will, a special session in November when maybe a bunch of them have lost their seats, but they're still in office through January. They get to vote on a bill that changes the date to, let's say, April 15th, just to make up a date. That's when the clock would start, April 15th, for 160 days. Now you're going to August or September. That's what I think is what they're up to, and the excuse will be because COVID. My problem with that is twofold. One, there is only one thing the Oregon Constitution requires the legislature to do: pass a budget, a biennium budget, a 2-year budget. That's it. It doesn't say pass bills. That's just become tradition. While we're here, we might as well pass some policy. The budget is not what we're supposed to do. And the budget has to be done by July 1st or 15th. 1st or 15th. I forget which. First, okay. So if you start April, let's say April 15th, you have just 45 days or so to get the budget done, or 65 days, whatever. My math is terrible. Point is, you get it. You have a short amount of time to get all those budgets done, get them all passed, and get them all done. So that would mean you can't work on policy bills while we're doing all these budget bills. The policy part is good. The bad part is, though, the budget. Will it get done correctly? That's where part 2, scary part, comes in. The legislature can pass current budgets and extend them for an indefinite amount of time. So we can pass a bill that says all the budgets are good for another year. And then we can dive right back into policy again and do it all throughout the summer. I'm telling you, go to Vegas on that. That's what I think is going to happen. Any thoughts, anybody?
Well, it's been tradition. When I used to work I call it the Marble Nut House.
Yeah.
When I worked in the Marble Nut House, it was tradition. Obviously, they wanted to be out of the building by July 4th at the very latest. For summer, back then we actually had farmers who were legislators. They needed to get back to their business. Of course, we have that history as well. But But I think given how Portland-centric the legislature is, and obviously the governor of Portland is, I think you're dead on. I think that's exactly what they don't care about the rest of Oregon. They care about their own, what they want to get done, and so I'm sure that they're probably going to, and who does that hurt the most? That hurts rural Oregon, because what is rural Oregon doing in June, July, August, September? They're working, right?
Yeah.
That's what's unfortunate about it, but I think you're dead on.
It scares me.
I agree with. Sorry.
No, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, Bill. I was going to say, I totally agree with both of you, and we've really talked about that. We're creatively thinking outside the box of different ways to address some of the bad policy and bad politician moments, if you will. And it's really, really noticeable in the DEQ hearings as of late on just how little they care. It's like they don't even flinch no matter what you say. It's like humdrum to them and go away, you're a fly, you bothered me. And as soon as we turn our back, it's like they're going to sign away. And it's a terrifying thought. It is just so crazy that we have this amount of politicians in office that could just care less. And that's going to be one of our first goals, is to definitely work on changing that. Not just through voting, but there's going to be some ballot initiatives that I'm going to see about coming out of our PAC to try to help balance out Oregon a little bit.
Yeah, that's great. Great to hear. Nicole, I want to put you on the spot for a minute because you're connected with Oregonians for Medical Freedom. And tell me, or at least you did some work with them, especially in the 2019 session with the vaccine bill. You were not greeted very kindly by everybody in the building, were you?
No. A few legislators in particular treated us like we were typhoid Marys. And that was ridiculous because we brought our kids to the Capitol. We brought flowers. Every time I came, we brought donuts, chocolate, and we just really wanted, I guess we were a bit naive thinking that some legislators wanted to hear our story. And, one person I met, Jeff Golden, he's a Democrat, and he actually said he probably wouldn't remember my name, but he would remember our story. And that was really impactful to have him treat us like human beings. But it was an eye-opening experience, and I think we just learned who we can trust and who maybe we definitely want to work against re-electing.
Well, and somebody said earlier, Anna Kasachev, is running, and we're excited about that. She spoke yesterday at the Capital City Republican Women's Meeting. I was there, and that's what she said. That's why she's running for state representative, because of how she was treated, especially add to that her old believer Russian community. And they were told, look, you people don't vote, so get out. I mean, it was rude.
Yeah, definitely. That's I ran, before the primary, and that's a lot of us moms got involved because of that. And we're mama bears, but once you start seeing what else is going on, because we're not dumb, we're reading bills, we're contacting legislators, we're doing a lot of research. So we're not somebody that you can just say, oh, they're just crazy anti-vax moms. We're here for the long haul, and we don't just care about our kids, we care about the whole state and other people's kids as well.
Well, and I know, so we've talked about Anna is running, and you ran in a primary for a House seat. Brittany Ruiz,
Yes.
who was with you every day, she's running for city council in McMinnville. So that's great. That bill invigorated more people than any bill I have ever seen before. And I know I have gun guys on right now that are watching us and joining us. And I'm gun guy. By the way, I just found out today the NRA gave me an A+ and sent a postcard in the mail. I didn't even know about it. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I got one. Anyway, even the gun bills did not bring the kind of attention and absolute just enthusiasm that the vaccination bill did, and people like Nicole, who probably never showed up before. Would you say you were ever active politically before?
In 2015, but for the same reason. But you know, once you see what they're doing, you're like, what else are they trying to take? What other rights are they trying to take away? You know? So yeah, that was the issue.
Yeah. Okay. Stephen asks, won't a summer session hurt rural legislators who are mostly conservative farmers and ranchers who have business to take care of in the summer? Absolutely. Ross pointed that out. And let me give you some direct examples. And this is not counting people who I hope will win this year, who are in the House and the Senate, but people who are in the House and Senate right now. Shelley Bosshart Davis is a farmer and trucker and businesswoman in the Albany area, Tangent, actually. Absolutely. Her biggest fear when she first got in the legislature is, what am I going to do during harvest time and planting time? I could probably think of a million others, but I can't right off the top of my head. But absolutely. I know Mark Owens, who's from over in Eastern Oregon. He is House District 60, which is basically everything east of Prineville all the way to the Idaho border. And I know that he's a rancher. Senator Lynn Finley is a rancher. And they got to get back and take care of the cows. Get them in, get them out, do them whatever they do over there. And yeah, a summer session would be horrible. Now, Ross, did you not work in the House Republican office at one point? Okay. Were you there when some of those sessions, before they set the 160-day, it actually could go on for months, couldn't it?
It could, but I was in the House Republican office in 1997, and that was the last session before term limits kicked in, back when we had term limits. And so we had some of the really old school guys, like Denny Jones, who was a legend, Bill Markham. You had Larry Soa on the Democrat side. You had people who respected the tradition on both sides of the aisle, who were bound and determined to get out of there as quickly as they could, so that others from other parts of the state could get back to their job. Peter Courtney, believe it or not, was a state representative back then, and he was the Democrat leader back then, and he insisted on, look, we're going to get out of here by July 4th, so everybody can get out and get back to their real lives. And you don't see that. You never see that today. But back then, that's because it was guys who've been in the building for 25, 30 years and have everyone's respect. It doesn't seem to be the case these days.
I think another big difference, based on what you've just described, and that I know some of those people, is even then, or back then, the Democrat Party was not what it was today, or is today, I should say.
Right.
There were rural Democrats. There were suburban Democrats, and they understood what rural life and agriculture and timber and fishing and all those things that are involved. They weren't people who moved here from Minnesota or Nebraska or whatever and moved down to downtown Portland.
Right, that's right. They were everybody. They were, Mike Fahey was a Democrat from Portland who was very conservative and insisted. And there was a way back then that people, there was a Democrat freshman who a lobbyist back then treated fairly badly, and some of the old school Republican members took that lobbyist aside and said, we understand that this Democrat is in the minority party and everything else, but you don't treat people like that. You don't treat members like that. I don't see that happening today. Just to give everyone just an example, the House at that time, 97, was controlled 31-29 by the Republicans, and the Senate, I hope everyone's sitting down, was 20-10, 20 Republicans, 10 Democrats in 1997.
23 years ago.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
It must be in the air. We had this discussion earlier, and my grandpa, he was a Democrat, and to this day, he is still my hero. he would be rolling in his grave at the landscape of what we're up against, what our Democrat Party is like now. He was very, very old, very staunch German, and very much believed in a true democracy. Oh my gosh, I used to drive him crazy because I always kind of went to the Republican even growing up. Now he's probably going, yeah, I'm so glad you're not a Democrat these days.
Hey, there's, by the way, one of my constituents, Bob Bush. Here's another guy that you might put in that Mr. Kaiser category. Bob and Colleen Bush. Bob brought up my hashtag, Mona. Hashtag MONA, make Oregon normal again. It's already great. It's just a little screwy, so we can fix that. And then Ross, you'll enjoy this. Joining us on Facebook and typing in the comments is Lindsey Graham says, some of my favorite people. Hey Lindsey, it's great to have you here. Ross is on here too, and he gave you a thumbs up. Have you cut any hair lately?
Oh, I can't type back to her to say hi. Bummer.
Well, Lindsey, I would have come seen you, but I used to have hair. Okay, I'm going to wrap this thing up tonight by saying a couple of things that I want to make sure everybody knows. I don't do this because I think I'm smarter than you or better than you or anything like that. And that is when I talk about Bill's voter guide. It's a tradition. When I was on the radio in 2008, somebody asked me one day, could you tell me who I could vote for? Because I'm really having a hard time. I'm struggling. And I said, well, I've learned a few things being in this business that I'm in, talk radio. And so I came up with a voter's guide. And it kind of people liked it. And I actually had to print some copies out and hand them out to people because people weren't doing so much Facebook and stuff back then. And so every year since 2008, every 2 years on an election year, I come out with Bill's Voter's Guide. It's based on my kind of inside baseball knowledge, and it's based on a few things that I know that maybe isn't common knowledge, and working with people and working on campaigns. And so I've done it again. It is not comprehensive, as in it does not cover every race in Oregon from every little city and everything. It just does what I know personally. So if you want to use it, it's on my website, billpost.com. Under the updates is Bill's Voter Guide. And you can use that as you see fit. If you have questions or comments about it, feel free to send that to me. If you have an addition you'd like me to study about, I will study and add it to the thing. It's something I can refresh and change. So Steve Pickering says, I like Mona too. Yes, hashtag MONA. And one last comment here. I know that at one time, because of the low legislative pay, a large number of legislators were grass seed, alfalfa, and cattle folks because they could give their time seasonally. Now there are two young leftists and well-right too who work for low wages trying to get into politics. Yeah, it's changed. It's changed drastically, and that's why I like seeing people like Shelley. I keep coming back to Shelley Davis and others who are boots in the ground, literally, who are running for office. I appreciate that. Well, I'm going to say goodbye for tonight. Ross, thank you for joining me tonight and adding some vast knowledge that you have. And because really, you've been around a long time, done a lot in politics. Nicole, Kara, Trisha, JB, they've all been on the Google thing with me. And all of those of you on Facebook, I appreciate you being with me. Thank you very much. We'll try this again next Friday night. If this worked for everybody, we'll see. Okay, I'm getting some thumbs up. All right. Have a great evening. We'll talk to you next Friday night.